So the human reproduction, that is chapter 2, number 2. Ignore the voice, okay, surrounding voice. The male reproductive system, because you are going to be a doctor, right? So just ignore. So male reproductive system, female reproductive system, gametogenesis, menstrual cycle, fertilization, implantation, pregnancy, embryonic development, parturition, and lactation. I'm reading it again like the context. The main context you are going to study is the male reproductive system, female reproductive system, gametogenesis, formation of the gamete, menstrual cycle, fertilization, then implantation, then pregnancy, then embryonic development, and parturition and lactation. So 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 this is the first paragraph. Like, humans are sexually reproducing and viviparous, right? The reproductive events in humans include formation of gametes, that is gametogenesis, that is sperms in males and ovum in females. So transfer of sperms into the female genital tract, that is insemination. The fusion of male and female gametes, that is fertilization, leading to the formation of zygote. Okay, this is followed by formation and development of blastocyst and its attachment to the uterine wall, that is implantation. Embryonic development, that is a gestation, and delivery of the baby, that is parturition. So all these are all these reproductive events occurs after the puberty. So when you hit the puberty, you all see these changes. Like, now there are remarkable differences between the reproductive events in the male and the female. For example, sperm formation continues even in old men, but formation of ovum ceases in women around the age of the 50 years. Right, 50 years is written, right? So now the male reproductive system. So male reproductive system is located in the pelvic region, right? It includes a pair of testes along with accessory ducts, glands, and the external genitalia. So remember, testes, accessory ducts, glands, and external genitalia, right? Now the testes are situated outside the abdominal cavity within a pouch called the scrotum. Now the scrotum helps in maintaining the low temperature of the testes, that is 2 to 2.5 degrees Celsius lower than the normal internal body temperature. Now this is the necessary for spermatogenesis, right? Now in adults, each testis is in oval in shapes with a length of like 4 to 5 and 3 to 3 to 3. This is not going to ask. The testis is covered by a dense covering, and each testis has about like 250 to 250 compartments called the testicular lobules. Now each lobule contains 1 to 3 highly called seminiferous tubules, like in which sperms are produced. Now 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 the each seminiferous tubule is lined on its inside by two types of cells, that is called the male germ cells, or that is spermatogonia, and the Sertoli cells, right? The male germ cells undergo meiotic divisions, finally leading to sperm formation. So male germ cells undergo meiotic divisions, finally leading to sperm formation, while Sertoli cells provide nutrition to the germ cells, right? The region outside the seminiferous tubule is called the interstitial phase. So these are the interstitial phase, right? Now this interstitial phase contains small blood vessels and interstitial cells or leading cells. Now leading cells synthesize and secrete testicular hormones called androgens. Other immunologically competent cells also present in there. So male sex accessory ducts include rete testis, vas efferentia, then epididymis, and vas deferens. So male sex accessory ducts include rete testis, vasa efferentia, epididymis, and vas deferens. Now the seminiferous tubules of the testis open into the vasa efferentia through the rete testis. So seminiferous tubules of the testis open into the vasa efferentia through the rete testis. The vasa efferentia leave the testis and open into epididymis located along the posterior surface of the each testis. Right now the epididymis leads to the vas deferens that ascends to the abdomen. So epididymis leads to the vas deferens that ascend to the abdomen and loops over the urinary bladder, right? It receives a duct from seminical vesicle and opens into urethra as a ejaculatory duct. So these ducts store and transport the sperms from the testis to the outside through the urethra. So these ducts, they store and transport the sperm from the testis to the outside through the urethra. Now urethra originates from the urinary bladder at the end of the bladder and extends through the penis to its external opening, that is urethral meatus, as you can see in the diagram. Now the penis is the male external genitalia. It is made up of special tissues that help in the erection of the penis to facilitate insemination, right? The enlarged end of the penis is called the glans. Penis is covered by a loose pore of skin, that is foreskin, right? So the male accessory glands include paired seminal vesicles, and a prostate is not paired, right? Prostate is a single and paired bulbo-urethral glands. Now secretion of the glands constitutes the seminal plasma, right? Seminal plasma, which is rich in fructose, calcium, and certain enzymes. So the secretion of bulbo-urethral glands also help. So secretion of the bulbo-urethral glands also help in the lubrication of. So secretion of the bulbo-urethral glands also help in the secretion of the lubrication of the penis. So this is it. Like, this is a diagrammatic sectional view of the seminiferous tubule, as you can see this. So there are like spermatogonia that is lined on the on the line on its inner seminiferous tubules, and then there are the Sertoli cells. Then there are the spermatozoa, that is the sperms. Then interstitial cells, as you can see outside the seminiferous tubule there is a space, that is the intertubular space, that is interstitial space. There are the leading cells, and these are the Sertoli cells. Okay, so this is the diagrammatic sectional view of seminiferous tubule. Now we are going to study this diagrammatic view of male reproductive system. Parts of testis is open to show inner details, as you can see. So starting from the testicular lobules, it has 1 or 3 highly supercoiled, that is seminiferous tubule. Then seminiferous tubules opens into the through radial testis, it opens into vasa efferentia, and then vasa efferentia opens into on the on the posterior side, that is epididymis. Then epididymis down to the like opens into the vasa deferens. Then vasa deferens loops over the urinary bladder, and it opens into the like seminal vesicles, and then prostate, and then bulbourethral gland, and then urethra, and then urethra, and then foreskin, and then there is a glans penis. So this is the testis and everything. So ureter, as you can see, it is a pair of ureter, and there is a one single urinary bladder. So this is it, like vasa deferens, and all these are the things. So and you can see in here, like this is a male reproductive, so male reproductive system is present in the pelvic region of the male, right? So as you can see the male reproductive, it has a ureter. So starting from like the penis, so ureter, you can see the seminal vesicle, urinary bladder is also present, vasa deferens, prostate, you can see the prostate. Just remember this diagram because they can ask the naming, right? Ejaculatory duct, which one is ejaculatory duct? That this one. And then there is prostate, and then there is penis, and then there is urethra. As you can see, there is your glans penis and foreskin, then testes and scrotum, so bulbourethral gland, then there is a rectum, and then there is anus, then ejaculatory duct, urinary bladder, vasa deferens, and then seminical vesicle and ureter. So just remember all these things. And then there is now now so now now so now 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 there is like the female reproductive system. The female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries along with a pair of oviducts, ureter, uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia located in the pelvic region. So a pair of ovaries along with a pair of oviducts, and a uterus, cervix, vagina, and external genitalia located in the pelvic region, right? These parts of the system along with a pair of mammary glands are integrated structurally and functionally to support the process of ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, birth, and child care, right? Ovaries are the primary female sex organs that produce the female gamete, that is ovum, and several steroid hormones, that is ovarian hormones, right? Now the ovaries are located one on each side of the lower abdomen. Each ovary is about like 2-4 centimeter length and connected to the pelvic wall and uterus by the ligaments. Now each ovary is covered by a thin epithelium and encloses the ovarian stroma. The stroma is divided into two zones, that is peripheral cortex and inner medulla, right? And an inner medulla, right? So this is the female pelvis showing the reproductive system. So it has like uterus, urinary bladder, as you can see. That is the pubic symphysis is also present, urethra, then clitoris, then labia majora, then labia minora. You can see the labia minora, and then there is a labia majora. Then there is a vaginal orifice, right? Anus, vagina, as you can see, vagina is kind of tubular form. Then there is a rectum, and then there is a cervix, as you can see all these sections. So the oviducts, what are the oviducts? These are the fallopian tubes, that's it. Uterus and vagina constitute the female accessory ducts. So in male accessory ducts, as you know, that from the rete testis to the urethra, so these are the male accessory ducts, and each fallopian tube is like 10 to 12 centimeter and extends from the periphery of each ovary to the uterus, right? The part closer to the ovary is the funnel shape, that is infundibulum. The part which is close to the ovary is the funnel shaped infundibulum. The edges of the infundibulum possess finger like projections called fimbria. The edges of the infundibulum possess finger like projections called the fimbria, now which helps the collection of the ovum after ovulation. So infundibulum leads to a wider part of the oviduct called the ampulla. The last part of the oviduct, that is isthmus, has a narrow lumen and it joins the uterus, as you can see. So diagrammatic sectional view of the female reproductive system, as you can see, endometrium on the inside, and then middle is the myometrium, and at the third is the perimetrium. So this is why, like, and uterine fundus, and then the so so there is like uterine fundus, and then there is a uterine cavity, like, and and the ovary, and periphery to it, like there is a infundibulum that has the fimbria, okay, that has a fimbria, and then ampulla, and then there is a isthmus, that is narrow part. So these are the fallopian tube that has the infundibulum, ampulla, and isthmus. So these are the fallopian tube, right? Then there is a cervix, and it has a cervical canal, and then there is a vagina. So these are the female reproductive system. As you can see there, this diagram is I mean, whole ncet is important. That's it, all I can say. So part of the oviduct called ampulla, the part of the oviduct isthmus has a narrow lumen, and it joins the uterus. Now uterus is a single, and it is a ohm. It is a ohm, and the shape of the uterus is like an inverted pear. So it's like an inverted pear. It is supported by ligaments attached to the pelvic wall. Okay, the uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix. So the uterus opens into the uterus opens into vagina. So uterus opens into vagina through a narrow cervix, cervix, and then cervical canal, and then vagina. And on the top, that is the uterus, which is a womb, and it is inverted pear. So the cavity of the cervix is called the cervical canal, which along with vagina forms a birth canal. So the cavity of the cervix called the cervical canal, which along with vagina forms the birth canal. The wall of the uterus has three layers of the tissues, as I say. The external thin, that is membranous, that is perimetrium. The middle layer of the middle layer of that is the middle layer of that is smooth muscle, that is myometrium, and the inner glandular layer, that is endometrium, that lines the uterine cavity. Now the endometrium undergoes cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle, while the myometrium exhibits the strong contraction during the delivery of the baby. Okay, the female external genitalia includes mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen, and clitoris. So it includes mons pubis, labia majora, labia minora, hymen, and clitoris. So mons pubis is a cushion of fatty tissues covered by skin and pubic hair. So mons tissue is a cushion of fatty tissues that is covered by the skin, that is covered by the skin and pubic hair. The labia majora are the fleshy folds of. So the labia majora are the fleshy folds of. So labia majora are fleshy folds of tissue which extend down from the mons pubis and surround the vaginal opening. Okay, the labia minora are pair folds of tissue under the labia majora. So there is like the labia majora. So there is like the labia. So there is like the mons pubis. Then there are then there is labia majora. Okay. Now labia majora covers the vaginal opening. Okay. The labia minora. Then under that there is a labia minora are pair folds of tissue under the labia majora. Right. The opening of the vagina is often covered partially or by a membrane called hymen. So opening of the vagina is often covered partially by a membrane called hymen. Okay, the clitoris is a tiny finger-like structure which lies at the upper junction of the two labia minora above the urethral opening. So above the urethral opening, like at the junction of the two labia minora, it is a clitoris. Okay. So this is it, like the hymen is often torn during the first coitus, that is intercourse, that is first coitus, that is intercourse. However, it can also be broken by a sudden fall or jolt, insertion of a vaginal tampon, and the active participation in some sports like horseback riding, cycling. And in some women, the hymen persists even after the coitus. In fact, the presence or absence of hymen is not a reliable indicator of virginity or sexual experience. Okay, so this is a diagrammatic sectional view of mammary gland. As you can see in here, like there are ribs, there are muscles between the ribs, and pectoralis, that is major muscle. So this is the major muscles, and then there are the fats. So there are the fats, then there are the mammalian lobe. So mammalian lobe has a mammary alveolus, then mammary alveolus has the mammary duct. So mammary duct opens into the ampulla. Okay, so it is a wider part, and then there is like the lactiferous duct, and then there is like the nipple at the end, and this is areola. I don't know what areola is, but areola is kind of covering. So as you can see, the fat, mammary lobe, the mammary alveolus, mammary duct, ampulla, lactiferous duct, and then nipple. So this is it. Like now I'm going to read the text, right? Read the text to try to understand. A functional a functional mammary gland is a characteristic of all female mammals. So a functional mammary gland is characteristic of all female mammals. A functional mammary gland is characteristic of all female mammals. So all female mammals The mammary glands are paired structures, that is breasts that contain glandular tissue and variable amount of fat. As I told you, the glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 50 to 20 mammalian lobes. So the glandular tissue of each breast is divided into 50 to 20 mammary lobes containing clusters of cells called the alveoli. The cells of alveoli secretes milk which is stored in the cavities, that is lumens of the alveoli. The alveoli open into the mammary tubules, and the tubules of the each lobe join to form a mammary duct. So tubules and then mammary duct and then several mammary ducts join to form a wider mammary ampulla which is connected to lactiferous tubule. So mammary lobes, then mammary tubules from the mammary duct, and the mammary duct from the mammary ampulla, and they form the lactiferous ducts open at the nipple from where milk is expressed during the breastfeeding. So now this is going to be like gametogenesis. The primary sex organs, the testes in the males and the ovaries in the females, they produce the gametes, that is sperms and ovum respectively, by the process called gametogenesis. In testes, the immature male germ cells, that is spermatogonia, produce sperms by spermatogenesis that begins at the puberty. The spermatogonia present on the inside wall of seminiferous tubules multiply by mitotic division and increase in number. Now each spermatogonium is diploid and contains 46 chromosomes. Now some of the spermatogonia called primary spermatocytes periodically undergo meiosis. So some of the so so what we say, like the some of the spermatogonia called the primary spermatocytes periodically undergo meiosis. A primary spermatocyte completes the first meiotic division, that is reduction division, leading to the formation of two equal haploid cells called secondary spermatocytes, right? So spermatogonia, then there is formation of then after the mitotic divisions there is like primary spermatocytes, and primary spermatocytes periodically undergo meiosis. It forms the secondary spermatocyte, there is two equal haploid cells and which have only like 23 chromosomes each. The secondary spermatocytes undergo the second meiotic division to produce four equal haploid spermatids. So it produces like four equal haploid spermatids. Now what would be the number of chromosomes in the spermatid? It is like haploid, so it is like 23. So it is like 23, right? So it is like 23, right? Okay, so this is like 23. The spermatids are transported into the spermatids are transported into the spermatozoa. Okay, the spermatids are transformed into the spermatozoa. They are so these are the sperm by the process called the spermiogenesis. So it is the spermatozoa. So spermatozoa converts into the like the sperm. So this is the spermiogenesis. So after spermiogenesis, sperm it's become embedded in the Sertoli cell. So after the spermiogenesis, when what? So after the formation of like the spermatids to spermatozoa, then I mean the spermatozoa are formed. That is the spermatozoa. Then the sperms are formed. Now after spermiogenesis, sperms heads become embedded in the Sertoli cells and are finally released from the seminiferous tubules by the process called the spermation. So from the seminiferous tubule, it gets released into from the seminiferous tubule, it just releases. So this is the spermiation, right? Now the spermatogenesis starts at the age of the puberty due to the significant increase in the secretion of the gonadotropin releasing hormone, that is GnRH. This, if you recall, it is a hypothalamic hormone. The increased levels of the GnRH then acts at the anterior pituitary gland and stimulates secretion of two gonadotropins, that is LH, that is luteinizing hormone, that is luteinizing hormone. So there is luteinizing hormone and a follicular stimulating hormone, FSH. So LH acts on the Leydig cell and stimulates synthesis and secretion of androgen, and androgen in turn stimulate the process of the spermatogenesis. Now FSH acts on the Sertoli cells and stimulates the secretion of the some factors which help in the process of the spermiogenesis, right? So now you can see the structure of the sperm. There it has a head. So it has a head like the plasma membrane, then acrosome, then nucleus containing chromosomal material, then neck, then middle piece, that is mitochondria, energy source for swimming, and then there is a tail. So this is the structure of the sperm. As you can see now, the structure of sperm, it is a microscopic structure. It contains the head, neck, middle piece, and a tail. Okay, a plasma membrane envelops the whole body of the sperm. Okay, the sperm head contains an elongated haploid nucleus. So the sperm head contains the elongated haploid nucleus, right? The sperm head contains the elongated haploid nucleus, right? Now, the anterior portion of which is covered by a cap-like structure, that is the acrosome. Now the acrosome is filled with the enzymes that help the fertilization of the ovum, right? Now acrosome is filled with the enzymes. Now what does these enzymes do that help fertilization of the ovum? The middle piece possesses numerous mitochondria which produce energy for the movement of tail. Now now the middle piece possesses the numerous mitochondria which produce energy for the movement of tail that facilitates sperm motility essential for fertilization. Now the human male ejaculates. Now now what? Now the human male ejaculates about like 200 to 300 million sperms during a coitus of which. So human so the human male ejaculates like 200 to 300 what million sperms during a coitus of for which for normal motility at least 60% of sperms must have the normal shape and size. So normal shape and size, so we are talking about the shape and size, and normal shape and size, and at least 40% of them show vigorous motility. So 40% they must show the vigorous motility, and 60% show like they have the normal shape and size. So that's all. Like the sperm released from the seminiferous ducts. Seminiferous tubules are transported by the accessory ducts. Now secretion of epididymis is vasa. So all these are the accessory ducts like male sex accessory ducts. So secretion of epididymis, vasa deferens, seminal vesicle and prostate are essential for the maturation and motility of the sperm. The seminal plasma. Now this is important. The seminal plasma along with the sperms constitute the semen. The seminal plasma along with the sperm constitute the semen. What is semen? The seminal plasma. The seminal plasma along with the sperm it constitutes the semen. Now from where does this seminal plasma come from? It is just made by these like accessory ducts. So this is all. Like the functions of the male accessory. Now the essential, okay, the seminal, okay, I read it again. The seminal plasma along with the sperms constitute the semen. The functions of the male accessory ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormone, that is androgen. So the functions of the male accessory ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormone, that is androgen. The functions of the male accessory ducts and glands are maintained by the testicular hormone, that is androgens. Okay, the process of formation of mature female gamete is called the oogenesis. The process of formation of the mature female gamete is called the oogenesis, which is markedly different from the spermatogenesis. Okay, now it is markedly different. It is not completely similar. It is not completely different. It is just markedly different. Oogenesis is initiated during the embryonic development stage when a couple of million gamete mother cells, that is oogonia, are formed within the each fetal ovary. No more oogonia are formed and added after the birth. So these cells start division and enter into the prophase 1 of the meiotic division and get temporarily arrested at that stage. Okay, so temporarily arrested and called the primary oocytes. So oogonia, and they form the so they are so after that they are like the so they are like the primary oocytes, and then each primary oocyte then gets surrounded by a layer of granulosa cells and is called the primary follicle. So is called the primary follicle. Now a large number of these follicles degenerate during the phase from the birth to puberty. So from the birth to puberty, a large number of these primary follicles they get degenerated. Therefore at puberty only 60,000 to 80,000. So only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles. So only 60,000 to 80,000 primary follicles are left in each ovary. Okay, the primary follicles get surrounded by more layers of granulosa cells, and a new theca are called the secondary follicles. The secondary follicles soon transfers into tertiary follicle, which is characterized by a fluid-filled cavity called the antrum. Okay, the theca layer is organized into an inner theca interna and outer theca externa. Now it is important to draw your attention that it is at this stage that the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle, okay, so we are at the tertiary follicle. So now the primary oocyte within the tertiary follicle grows inside and completes its first meiotic division. Okay, now it is an unequal division, unlike in males it was like the equal division, right? But now it's in female it is like the unequal division. So it was like the unequal division, right? So it is an unequal division resulting in the formation of a large haploid secondary oocyte and a tiny polar body. So okay, now the secondary oocyte retains the bulk of the nutrient rich cytoplasm of the primary oocyte. So now the secondary oocyte retains the bulk of the nutrient rich cytoplasm of the primary oocyte, right? Okay. So when the primary oocyte gets converted in secondary oocyte, now the secondary oocyte it retains the bulk from the primary oocyte. Now can you think of any advantage of this? Of course they have the advantage. I mean they are getting the nutrients from it. So Now does the first polar body born out of first meiotic division divide further or degenerate? At the present, we are not know about this. The tertiary follicle further changes into the mature graphene follicle. So the tertiary follicle changes into mature graphene follicle. Now they have the secondary oocyte. Okay, mature follicle, that is also a graphene follicle, another name for it. The secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called the zona pellucida surrounding it. Now the secondary oocyte they form a new now the secondary oocyte now the secondary oocyte forms a new membrane called zona pellucida surrounding it, right? The graphene follicle now ruptures to release the secondary oocyte ovum from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Now the graphene follicle now ruptures to release the secondary oocyte, that is ovum, from the ovary by the process called ovulation. Can you identify major differences between spermatogenesis and oogenesis? A diagrammatic representation of spermatogenesis and oogenesis is given below. So a schematic representation of so the first one is the spermatogenesis and second one is the oogenesis. So 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 firstly, the spermatogonia gets converted into primary spermatocytes, and this is the first meiotic division. And then thus and then the secondary spermatocytes at the second meiotic division, it gets converted into spermatids, and then spermatids, they differentiated into spermatozoa. So spermatogonia, primary spermatocyte, secondary spermatocyte, then there are spermatids and spermatozoa, right? So you can see at puberty one gets 2 and 2 gets that 4. So and one gets 2, the 2 one another one gets 2. So and 2 gets then 4. So these are like the sperms, as you can see in here. So chromosome number, as you can see, first one is the 46, and so primary spermatocytes also 46, and secondary spermatocytes and spermatids and spermatozoa, so both, so all of them like the 23 and 23 and 23. Okay, then oogonia mitosis differentiation gets into the primary oocyte, that is first meiotic division completed prior to ovulation. Okay, so completed prior to ovulation. So first meiotic division completed prior to ovulation. First meiotic division completed prior to ovulation. That is, then primary oocyte gets converted into secondary oocyte, and secondary oocytes. Secondary oocyte and then ovum. Okay, so primary oocyte is okay. First meiotic division completed prior to ovulation. That is secondary oocyte and then ovum. Just remember this. Anyways, this is the fetal life. So during the before the birth, I think. Okay, the formation of like oogonia to primary oocyte, right? Now childhood and puberty, right? Adult reproductive life, you can see the secondary oocyte and ovum is formed, and during the birth and childhood and puberty, primary oocyte, primary follicle, secondary follicle, then tertiary follicle, then mature graphene follicle, then there is like the secondary oocyte, and then there is ovum. So okay, so this is like fetal life. Until till the fetal life there is like the primary oocyte, right? So this is the oogenesis. Okay, now the menstrual cycle. So we are going to study the menstrual cycle. Now the reproductive cycle in the female primates, that is monkey, apes and human beings, is called the menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle in the female primates, monkeys, apes and human beings is called the menstrual cycle. The first menstruation begins at puberty and is called the menarche, right? In human females, menstruation repeated at an average interval of about like 28 to 29 days, right? And the cycle of events starting from one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. Okay, and the cycle of events starting from one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. Okay, a reproductive cycle in female primates, example monkey, apes and human beings. So reproductive cycle, this is the menstrual cycle. The first menstruation begins at the puberty is called menarche, and the human's menstruation is repeated at an average interval of about 28 to 29 days, and the cycle of the event starting from one menstruation till the next one is called the menstrual cycle. Okay, now One ovum is released ovulation during the middle of each menstrual cycle. Now the major events of the menstrual cycle, as shown in the figure. Now the cycle starts with the menstrual phase, with when the menstrual flow occurs, and it lasts for like 3 to 5 days, right? The menstrual flow results due to the breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels, which forms liquid that comes out through vagina, right? The menstruation only occurs if the released ovum is not fertilized. Now when the released ovum is not fertilized, I mean the fertilization does not take in place, so this is when the menstrual flow occurs, okay? Otherwise it has to be like the maintenance of the endometrium, so it has like no breaking of like all these blood flows and all that. So menstruation only occurs if the release ovum is not fertilized. Lack of menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. So lack of menstruation, if like there is no menstruation, then there can be, so the lack of menstruation may be indicative of pregnancy. However, it may also be caused due to some other underlying causes like stress, poor health, and etc. Now the menstrual phase is followed by the follicular phase. So after the menstrual phase there is follicular phase. There is a follicular phase, and during this phase the primary follicles in the ovary grow to become a fully mature graphene follicle, and simultaneously the endometrium of uterus regenerates through the proliferation. Now these changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by the changes in the levels of pituitary and ovarian hormone. So the changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by the changes in the levels of the pituitary and ovary hormones. Now the secretion of